All right, I want to welcome everybody back to The Old Wise Men. You can watch this and recommend it to others through the website, theoldwisemen.com. Highly recommend you do that, especially if something that has been said by Rob or some other guest or myself. I hope that you would pass that forward to others, and maybe it would be an encouragement and life-changing impact in their life as well. So I've had the privilege to be able to do two previous sessions. The first one was called Shift Happens. The second one was called Linchpin. And I just want to kind of keep building on that a little bit as I talked about all kinds of shift that happened in my life, that I'm a linchpin that tries to promote the progress and purpose of other people. And that has a sacrificial cost to it that can bring a lot of wear and tear in your life. And I encourage you to maybe go back and watch those if you want to catch up on those. But this one today, I want to do a theme of lead and leave, or lead versus leave. And I want to repeat something real quick. A life goal of mine is simply Philippians 3:14 that says this: I press on to reach the end of the race so that I might receive the prize that God through Christ Jesus is calling me to receive. And so I reiterate, all of the change, all of the things in my life, I don't think they'd be possible if I had just worldly goals. Here's an example. Meaning a goal, we should all have a goal in our life. That's the ultimate goal. It's the top of everything, and nobody can take that away from you. And here's what I mean. If your goal is to be the best NFL football player in the NFL, what happens? You spear somebody and you break your neck and you can no longer play football. That goal, you have no life now if that's your ultimate goal. If you want to be the best businessman or be at the top of an executive magazine for being the best of the best in the business world, and COVID hits and completely destroys your business and you face bankruptcy and what seems like failure in that sense, that goal was taken away from you. So you got to have a goal in your life that no matter what circumstances come in your life, that goal still remains, and it keeps you pressing forward and leading and moving no matter the circumstances. And so I talked about in the Shift Happens segment where I had in an 8 to 10 year period like 7 or 8 major moves as I was continuing to try to be faithful to do what is right, and kept facing critics, kept facing circumstances that tried to derail me. And they did derail me in that immediate profession or that immediate job, but they did not derail me from the ultimate goal of finishing the race of my life and someday taking a knee before Jesus and being told, well done and good and faithful servant. And so as I went through all of those changes, I learned something that I look back with 2020 hindsight, and it's this: we and you will always be remembered by how we leave. A lot of people say you'll always be remembered by your first impression. If you want to go back and listen to the Shift Happens segment, I talked about how I was leading a very large and successful church, getting a lot of attention. And when I gave that church and merged together with another one, I gave up my leadership position. I gave up more than $20 million in assets under management. I gave up leading more than 3,000 individual people, and we merged in. And I remember at the time being told, that first impression of that happening, one of the executives of the church we merged with said, Trent Renner is one of the most humble guys I'd ever met. And I really was trying to make decisions that helped me achieve the ultimate goal of receiving the prize from Christ. And so that's why we did that unity effort, and it went really bad. And I'm no longer remembered in that segment based off being the most humble guy, because when I left there, and I think I said in a previous session, right up until the moment where things went bad, I really behaved right. I worked on my character. I kept my eyes on my ultimate goal. But when things started going sour, my flesh took over. And I literally made decisions that caused me to leave in ways that maybe sought revenge. Anger got the best of me. And here's the reality when I think about all those changes in my life and I look back at all those organizations, they haven't really been affected at all. They're moving forward. They're doing fine. Some returned to how they were. Some have gone and achieved new lengths. They haven't been affected. But who has been affected? I was, because I'm remembered by how I left. And that's something that I'll always take with me from this point forward. It's made me a better person. And that when I have encounters that cause conflict, that cause circumstances, that cause anger to want to grow up, that cause me to want to get revenge, to want to get, it causes me to take the high road. And it's a very difficult, deliberate decision that I have to make. So that guy that used to say he's one of the most humble guys I've ever met, I can't even have contact with him now. I never call back anything, and I don't blame him. It's how I left. And I want to encourage you to, when you face circumstances and conflict, I keep a journal with me on a regular basis. Let's do this. If you want to achieve success, these are things I have written down that are part of keeping my eyes on my end goal. And this is about leading versus leaving. If you want to achieve success, listen to these 3 quick points. You have to, and I have to, be willing to hear the truth and respond humbly. Otherwise, if you don't respond humbly, it might be the last thing you've said to a person, to a business, to a spouse, to a coworker, and that's how you're going to be remembered. And you don't want to be remembered as somebody who you're really not. Don't let anger or revenge or your flesh, spontaneity, a bad reaction describe you and define you for the rest of your life in somebody else's mind. You got to be willing to hear the truth and respond humbly. Secondly, you got to push through the past. You got to push through the hard times. Maybe it'll be a whole nother segment, a whole nother time of when to quit, knowing when to quit. There is a time to quit. Some people say quitters are losers. Well, not the person who quit picking their nose. Not the person that quit wetting the bed. There's a time to quit. And it's all about having that ultimate goal, achieving that ultimate goal, keeping your eyes on that ultimate goal. And if anything gets in the way of that, there's a time to quit. So push through the past and push through the hard times. And the third one is respond with confidence as you face adversity. Confidence doesn't mean angry. Confidence doesn't mean react in a way that's inappropriate. And so let me finish with 2 final quotes here about this leaving and leading. This: circumstances are always beyond my full control. My attitude and my response towards those circumstances is always my choice. Let me repeat that. Circumstances are always beyond my full control, but my attitude and my response towards my circumstances is always my choice. And so this segment's going long. Let's wrap it up. Let me read a Bible passage that sums this all up. It's 1 Corinthians 9:24. Don't you realize that in a race, everyone runs, but only one person gets the prize? So run to win. All athletes are disciplined in their training, so they do it to win a prize that'll fade away. But we do it for an eternal prize, a goal that nobody can ever take away. So the Apostle Paul writes here, I run with purpose in every step. I'm not just shadow boxing. I discipline my body like an athlete, training it to do what it should. Otherwise, I fear that after preaching or whatever your goal that you're pursuing to others, I myself might be disqualified. Never forget, you and I will always be remembered by how we leave. I pray that when you do leave, you will leave so very well. I'm sure there'll be more down the road. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this. Stay tuned for the next time, rest of the story.